Good evening, Giants fans. Steven Ruderman here with your Insomniac Lunatic Friends Giants postgame show. It has finally happened. In his 17th start of the season, Justin Verlander finally has his first win as a Giant. And what a difference the last 48 hours have made. Justice De Los Santos, who's one of the Giants beat writers, was talking to Matt Chapman after the game. And he apparently the words team meeting weren't used, but it sounds like there was a talk or maybe some talks between players and personnel after the game Monday, because the Giants have looked like a completely different team over the last 48 hours. After Monday's rock bottom loss, the Giants went out and did pretty much everything right last night and doing pretty much everything they've done all year, which is situational hitting, some power, good pitching, defense, you name it, en route to a 9-0 win last night. Today, it was Justin Verlander against Spencer Strider. The Giants loaded the bases off Strider in the top of the first, but Casey Schmidt, with 2 outs and the bases loaded, flew out to left field to end the inning. Justin Verlander came out. He walked the bases loaded. Thankfully, not with nobody out like Hayden Birdsong did the other night. This was with 2 outs. Michael Harris is at the plate. He flew out to right center field. So the game cruised through the first 4 innings. Justin Verlander escaped another jam, I believe, in the third. Pitched his first 1-2-3 inning of the day in the bottom of the fourth. In the top of the fifth against Strider, Rafael Devers gets a low pitch and golfs it out to right field. He puts the Giants on the board. Willie Adames is then hit by a pitch, and Matt Chapman hits a home run to right center field. That makes it 3-0. And then Verlander would pitch one more scoreless inning in the bottom of the fifth. And with the Giants up 3-0 and Verlander having 5 innings under his belt, he was in line for the win, should the Giants hold on to it. In the top of the sixth, the Giants would score 3 more. And this time it would be against Braves reliever Dylan Dodd. Patrick Bailey doubled with 1 out. Luis Matos reached on a fielder's choice, though Bailey was thrown out at third. Ramos hit a base hit, and then Rafael Devers. He gets one up and in, almost hits him in the head. He has to duck out of the way, and then he hits a home run to right center for a second of the game. Devers went 3 for 5 today, and maybe perhaps we're finally seeing the coming out of Rafael Devers. 3 for 5 today with a pair of home runs, 4 RBIs, 7 for 14 in this series with 5 RBIs, and he's also looking a lot better, as in he's looking less hurt and more mobile. You know, the way he was able to twist out of the way without tweaking his back was pretty impressive. That pitch he got from Dodd up and in. The Giants would score 3 more runs in the top of the 7th inning. The Braves would score 3 runs off of Sean Jelly in the bottom of the 7th inning. But it would be a pretty uneventful later part of the game. 3 straight 3-run innings for the Giants would do it. And a 9-3 win over the Braves. They win 2 straight to take the series. And a great end to what was looking to be a completely disastrous road trip. The Giants with 2 wins under their belt and much needed momentum as they come home for what is going to be a big series against the New York Metropolitans. The Mets are 5 games ahead of the Giants. They currently have the 2nd wild card spot in the National League. And the Giants are going to have 6 games against them coming up. 3 this weekend in San Francisco. I'll be there on Sunday. Should be a lot of fun. And then 3 the following weekend in Queens at Citi Field. Now, even more good news, Logan Webb's going to get to make a rare start after a Giants win on Friday. He will be going in the opener of the 3-game series Friday. That'll be a 7:15 start. He'll be going up against the Mets right-hander Clay Holmes. Saturday will be Robbie Ray going against Peterson, against the left-hander David Peterson, so a matchup of lefties in that one. And then Sunday, Ed Undecided will go for the Giants. That's what Kruk and Kipe used to say when a starting pitcher hadn't been announced. They did this like back in 2004 and 2005. Ed Undecided will go against Kodai Senga, the young Japanese right-hander. That, of course, is Hayden Birdsong's spot in the rotation, and the Giants have yet to figure out who will take Birdsong's spot in the rotation. So a big series against the Mets. Some even more good news. The Padres lost again to the Marlins today. The Marlins are now 5 games under 500, but with the Padres losing 2 of 3 to the Marlins, the Giants are now a game and a half back of the Padres for the 3rd wild card spot. And the Giants, of course, will have 7 games against the Padres next month. In 3 weeks, they'll be taking on the Padres for 3 at Oracle, and then a week after that, they'll be at Petco for 4. This is going to be a massive next 4 weeks for the Giants. And in those combined 7 games against the Mets and Padres, they got to really show up. And we've seen the Giants show up against good teams this year. I mean, their 24-14 start was against a lot of good teams. They ended up by taking 2 or 3 at Wrigley Field. We saw them take 2 or 3 from the Phillies 2 weeks ago and have a great first game against the Dodgers on July 11th, and almost did take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, just some bad luck late in the game on Sunday the 13th. I think the Giants will be ready to go against the Mets this weekend. They're going to have probably 3 sold-out crowds, or at least close to sold-out crowds over the weekend. So they'll have the fans behind them. It will be a fun weekend of baseball at Oracle Park this weekend. I can't imagine it won't be. And the Giants will be ready to show up. So why don't we take a look at some scores? We mentioned the Padres losing to the Marlins. The Mets have won 4 in a row. They lost the first 2 of 3 against the Reds over the weekend. Then they won the game Sunday to salvage a game in that series and avoid the sweep. They then swept the Angels this week at Citi Field. The Reds, they avoid the sweep in D.C. with a 5-0 win over the Nationals. The Tigers got swept by the Pirates, and with the Guardians playing some really good baseball, the Guardians are back up to 500 at 50-50, and they are now 8.5 games back of the Tigers. I imagine the Tigers will still win that division comfortably, but hey, it's baseball. You never know. The Cubs lose the rubber match of a 3-game series at Wrigley Field 8-4 to the Royals, and with the Brewers beating the Mariners this afternoon in Seattle 10-2, the Brewers are back ahead of the Cubs by a game in the National League Central. The Mariners snapped the Brewers' 11-game winning streak last night. The Dodgers, they came back from down 3-2 in the ninth to win it. Shohei Ohtani homered in his 5th straight game. He was intentionally walked in the bottom of the ninth. Freddie Freeman made them pay with a walk-off base hit. The Blue Jays beat the Yankees 8-4 to take that series. In a wild one at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, the Phillies blew a 5-0 lead over the Red Sox. The Red Sox scored 6 runs in the top of the 5th inning. That game ended up going 11 innings with the Red Sox winning it 9-8. And the Rangers have started getting hot. They beat the Oakland, Sacramento, but unlikely to be Las Vegas, but definitely the Roving Athletics, as some people have said on Twitter, 2-1. So let's take a look now at the standings in the National League. We'll look at the wild card standings here. As you can see, the Cubs have the first wild card. They are 60-42. They're a game and a half ahead. I beg your pardon. They are a game and a half ahead of the Mets, who hold the second wild card with 59-44. The Mets are 3.5 ahead of the Fathers, who have the third wild card at 55-47. The closest team to the Padres is your San Francisco Giants. They are a game and a half back at 54-29. The Reds 2.5 back at 53-50. The Cardinals, who just lost 2 or 3 to the Rockies, they're 3.5 back at 52-51. The Diamondbacks, they were just swept by the Astros. I forgot to mention that score. The Astros beat the Diamondbacks in Arizona 4-3. They were swept by the Astros. They are 5.5 back, and don't look now, but the Marlins are only 6.5 back. They are 48-53. Now, I doubt the Marlins will go to the playoffs, but hey, it's baseball. You never know. And I'm not declaring the Giants back by any means, but you're definitely going to feel a lot better after what you've seen over the last 48 hours. It definitely seems like they have their groove back. I do think Willie Adames calling out the team in that interview Monday night helped. I think there probably was some sort of clubhouse-wide discussion or a series of discussions that got guys back on the right page. Because I think there was a general understanding after Monday night that this was not acceptable. The Giants were 3 games over 500, the lowest they've been over 500 since April Fool's Day. They were 3.5 back of the Padres for the third wild card. Things were going south, and they were going south in a hurry, and things had to change. Thankfully, they did. And what you're also seeing in this clubhouse is real leadership. There are guys in this clubhouse like Matt Chapman and Willie Adames who are not going to let things go south. that they will steer the ship when need be, and that's exactly what those two have done over the last 48 hours. So you really got to commend both of them. And I was saying last night, what a presence Willie Adames has been in the Giants clubhouse. Great guy, has so much fun playing the game, and he's not afraid to call out his teammates publicly if he needs to. And it's done out of love. It's done of, hey, we're better than this. We got to play better than this. Justin Verlander indeed gets his first win, and even something like that, Sam Lubin was saying earlier today that something like that could motivate the clubhouse. And of course, Sam and I have both talked about how we do believe that there needs to be a conversation about Justin Verlander. And I still think there needs to be. He's going to need to make a couple more great starts before I can say, you know what, I think I'm good with him in the rotation. But he didn't have a bad outing today. He did walk 5. And he got in trouble a couple times as a result of that. But he only gave up 1 run over 5 innings, 5 shutout innings. And he did strike out 3. So not the worst outing, not the best outing, but good enough for his first win in the orange and black. Sam and I were texting back and forth yesterday, and because I want to talk about something here, maybe this isn't exactly about this year's team, or maybe it is a little bit, because I want to talk about Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge is one of the reasons I want the Giants to stand pat at the deadline. The other is I don't want the Giants giving up any more farm pieces. Bryce Eldridge has been hampered by injuries all year. We saw how good he was in spring training before his first injury hit, and then he had another injury that kept him out over the last month. He's been activated off the IL this week, hit a home run last night, hit a walk-off home run to win the game for the River Cats at Sutter Health Park today. I may go to the game tomorrow. I want to get a look-see at him in person. I think Bryce Eldridge could make a massive impact in the next few weeks. If he's ready to be called up, the Giants should pull the trigger on that. JT Snow worked with Eldridge at first base in spring training. I believe he's up here in Sacramento looking at Eldridge this week. He is very high on Eldridge. And he is the type of guy who, if the Giants can get him up in August, he could make a real impact down the stretch. At the same time, the Giants also do need to replenish the farm system. I was first thinking they need to rebuild, and then actually just about an hour or so ago, I had an epiphany. Maybe not rebuild, but keep the farm system replenished and build around guys like Logan Webb, Elliot Ramos, Jung-Hoo Lee, Randy Rodriguez, and Bryce Eldridge. Build around those guys. And the Giants could start doing so in the offseason by trading someone like Patrick Bailey, who's not going to get you the best prospects, but maybe get you a prospect or two. He's not the greatest hitter, but he's a great defensive catcher and is possibly the best pitch framer in the league, or at least best at the current way of pitch framing. Though I've actually seen him do some real pitch framing, which you sadly don't see much of in today's game. And by real pitch framing, I mean pitch framing and not dragging it. Bailey will do that, but he can actually frame. And I know some people have talked about trading for Sean Murphy, and he shouldn't require too many prospects, or at least not a big prospect like a Bryce Eldridge. Trading someone like Robbie Ray in the offseason for prospects wouldn't be the worst move. Trading Camille Doval wouldn't be the worst move, especially since you have someone in Randy Rodriguez who I believe can close. You can build the farm system a bit over the next 3 years while still competing. As people know, I'm vehemently against the tear-down rebuilds where teams focus more on rebuilding than winning in the actual season, which I find offensive because when you're 0-0 like everyone else, your mindset should be, we're going to win the World Series. Don't care how bad you are on paper. It's baseball. Anything can happen. And, losing someone like Ray is not great, but the Giants could sign another starter over the offseason. There are going to be a lot of starters on the market this offseason. Hayden Birdsong, I think, has the potential to be a strong second or third starter. He needs to get his mind in order down in Sacramento, but I think he can do that. And the Giants could sign a free agent starting pitcher or two, and they could easily have a good rotation even without Robbie Ray. And not to mention, Elliot Ramos is going to be 26 years old next year. Ramos is the kind of guy who I feel like when he enters his prime, he's going to be really dangerous. And I feel like next season could be his true breakout season. And I do think a trio next season of, and yeah, I get it. I'm talking about the future. Bear with me here. We'll get back to the 2025 Giants in a minute. I do believe a trio next season of Bryce Eldridge, Elliot Ramos, and Jung-Hoo Lee could be akin to that of Barry Bonds, Jeff Kent, and Ellis Burks in 2000. I think next year's Giants team, with the right moves over the offseason, which includes trading guys like Duvall, Ray, and Bailey to replenish the farm system, could win 95 to 100 games. And the greatest part about Eldridge is only 20 years old. He'll be 21 later this year. He was born at some point in the fall of 2004. I don't remember the month and date exactly. But the Giants will have probably 12 to 14 great years out of Eldridge. And Eldridge can be in his prime through 2037 to 2039. And so you get some more young guys and a new young crop up for 2029. 2029 into the 2030s could be a real golden era of Giants baseball. Because Buster Posey and the Giants should not rely on the current core. The current core is mediocre to solid, and they are getting older. And I feel like with the current way they're built, the Giants will have a similar kind of season next year, like they've had the last several years, which is they'll contend, be over 500, as long as they're managed well, that is, as they would have been the last 3 years if they were managed better. And then they will collapse in 2027 or 2028. You got to keep that farm system replenished. And the Giants right now have one of the worst farm systems in all baseball. So let's hope Buster keeps that farm system replenished. So come 2029 and beyond into the 2030s, the Giants can keep this going. Trying to think, are all the games, I think everything is final now. All of today's games are over. There are only going to be, I think, 5 or 6 games tomorrow. 5 games tomorrow. Guardians taking on the Orioles in the finale of that series in Cleveland. Tigers will host the Blue Jays in Detroit for the start of a 4-game set. The Padres will go to St. Louis for the start of a 4-game set. A's will go to Houston for the start of a 4-game set, and the Mariners will go to Anaheim for the start of a 4-game set against the Los Angeles Angels. So as I mentioned, Webb against Holmes Friday. Ray against Peterson, a matchy of all lefties on Saturday. And Ed undecided against Kodai Senga on Sunday. All night games, Sunday being 4:10. I will be there at the ballpark. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. And let's hope the Giants can at least take 2 or 3 from the Mets this weekend, because this is going to be such a massive series for the Giants. A true pennant race series. And a true test for the 2025 San Francisco Giants. I mean, this is going to be the biggest series of the year. And you're possibly going to have 7 of your biggest games of the year coming up in just the next 4 weeks. Giants do need to show up against the Mets and the Padres, and I am very confident that they will. All right. For my boss, Lee Leonard at Sports Radio Service, because the Insomniac Lunatic Fringe is a Sports Radio Service production, I'm Steven Ruderman. Hope you enjoyed the show. Giants and Mets, Friday night at 7:15. I will see you after the game then. Have a good night, folks. I'll talk to you Friday night.